Yeah, man, this is Danny Dreadlock telling you, say, the time has come for the lion story to be heard, you know? Here, there, and everywhere. Have no fear. The lion story. And this is the lion voice. Seeing production. Every time.
Yeah, I'm a Gideon. Cataclysmic forces, good over evil. Yeah, for the ghetto youth worldwide. Yeah. I see the.
But there is also just not a lecturer. There is also an author. Talk to us about your book, because before we seal up, I'm going to ask the eye to let ones know they can also purchase that book or they can get their hands. But talk to us, what was the book that the eye, because I'm the reading Rast, Dr. Barnett. You don't know that side of me.
All right, so you know that. So I have some publications on Rastafari, notably because you know it's not just living Rastafari, but writing about it and documenting the history of Rastafari history, because some people take that for granted, but I don't take Rastafari history for granted at all. Yeah. So there is probably the first publication, and I know it's very readily available, is an anthology I put together called Rastafari in the New Millennium. Okay. And that came out about 2011, but that was, you know, around about when we went into the Ethiopian millennium, which was 2007. But I was working on that text from 2007. So Rastafari in the New Millennium, that's from Syracuse University Press. That's readily available on Amazon. Then I have just single authored book that I just wrote myself, from front cover to back cover, and that is the Rastafari Movement, a North American and Caribbean perspective. So in that I try to detail my own experiences of Rastafari, both in North America, because as you know, I well, some people may not know, but I'd spent several years in South Florida.
Yes.
About 15 years actually in South Florida. So that is probably the area, the region I'm most familiar with. But being in the US, I had a feel for Rastafari organizations and the the vibrancy of Rastafari in the US, also Rastafari in the Caribbean as well. From my experience in Jamaica and, traveling to Barbados, traveling to St. Vincent and some of the other islands in the Caribbean. So using my first-hand experience of Rastafari in both the Caribbean and the US, I formulated that book. And then beyond that, there's Leonard Percival Howell, which is an anthology that myself, Dr. Jelani Naya,
Big up Dr. Naya. Big up Dr. Naya.
Yes.
Yeah, man.
So we put our heads together, and also Dr. Dave Dunkley, who is presently teaching in the US now. But we decided to try and put a comprehensive study on Leonard Howell and his influence, because as the father of the Rastafari movement, there wasn't that much written about him. Actually, Bobby Hill had written an article rather on Leonard Howell, and that was the only existing scholarly sources. Wow. Well, there is the first Rasta by Helen Lee.
Yes, but she's not Jamaican. Yes. Yeah, it's an outside perspective.
It's an outside perspective, and it's written more from a journalistic perspective. She didn't really use many historical sources or so forth writing it, but that brought some light to Leonard Howell nonetheless. So there's that, and then there's the newest anthology on Rastafari. It's a 2020 vision perspective on Rastafari, which was written in 2020 and during the COVID period, and trying to look at Rastafari as like a flashpoint, or if you like a photo perspective of Rastafari at that point in time.
Okay.
Yeah.
Serious work. So how did you become a board member of the Leonard P. Howell Foundation? And what was that journey like? And what is the Leonard P. Howell Foundation for those who may not be familiar?
Well, how I became a member was for one thing, I came into contact with Sister Kathy Howell.
Yes.
Catherine Howell in 2009, thereabouts.
Yes.
Well, I glimpsed her in South Florida because she's based somewhere in South Florida when I was living there. But we came together and met in Jamaica in 2009, and we were looking at trying to get Pinnacle lots declared at Pinnacle at the time. Unfortunately, it was unsuccessful in 2009. We did make an attempt. Unfortunately,
I remember because we hosted her also in DC around that time as well.
Right.
Right. Sister Catherine.
Right. So then she had started. She actually had written and registered the LPH Foundation at that time. But then things really started growing in terms of momentum, so far as I'm concerned, when Monty and Billy Howell came on the scene, which was 2010. And so we had a joint conference. We hosted Monty, Billy, and Kathy at UWI, and we decided to have a Leonard Howell conference. It was a 3-day conference. This is 2011.
Okay.
And that was, when was it? It would have been, June 2011, because we did it deliberately around the Earth Day of the Honorable Leonard Howell, which is the 16th of June.
Yes,
and that was very successful, and it was so powerful. We said we need to write a book, out of that, myself, Clinton, and Jelani.
So all of these things were happening simultaneously when you were doing the research, connecting with the offspring of Leonard Howell, and leaving this legacy in terms of the Leonard Howell Foundation.
Yes.
And what is the Leonard P. Howell Foundation now?
So
what
fundamentally, it's to champion the legacy of the Honorable Leonard Percival Howell, to champion the legacy, and to agitate as well for Pinnacle to become something substantive, for there to be substantive development with the remaining lots of Pinnacle, because we have the land, but there's been no substantive development there. And by that I mean, erecting buildings, having lots of land set aside for farming. We are looking, and we hope to have the remains of Sir Leonard Howell actually have a mausoleum there at Pinnacle, since he spent so much time and effort and resources in establishing it. I think it's only fitting that his remains are there. The mausoleum is there, in terms of a tribute to his work, and the family are very much for it. His children are for it. So we want some substantive development to take place there, but it's going to take talks, it's going to take negotiations and so forth. So we have that.
Yeah, I'm a Gideon. Cataclysmic forces, good over evil. Yeah, for the ghetto youth worldwide. Yeah. I see the youths nowadays, they growing up. Wanna know the truth, they wanna know what's up. They got no fear now, they'll call you bluff. They asking questions cause they had enough. Why? Some gone stray cause times is tough. Some walk with the machine, ready to bust. I'ma give you that things get dangerous. No, in the ghetto things get dangerous. On the battlefield things get dangerous. Them carry RPG, M16, got a problem to wipe out your whole team for American dream. Them get scanned and lost and put us into the ghetto, try abandon us. Cause we the remnant of the first sons of Kush. Warrior tribes, we not the ones to push. Just look into them history, see we rebellious. That's cause them systems so unjust. Take the shackles and chains, change them to handcuffs. Release your physical frame, them want your brain. Them a vampire looking for blood to drain. Highly Selassie come and break every chain. Bob Marley tell them, now we tell them again, yo. We tell them this ain't a game, but this a Armageddon, you got to mentally train. Yeah, I tell them this ain't a game, but this is heaven on earth, or go burn in the flames. Yeah, I tell them this ain't a game, I say I gotta play your hate, cause some things gotta change. I tell them this ain't a game, but this a time for African people to rise. I tell them, earthquake, hurricane, tornado, the wind blows and bring the rains. I got the whole west coast in flames, melt the Arctic poles and flood the seas. Hurricane force winds blow down the trees, whole earth feel the pain when the bombs release. Read your psalms, release David prophecies. Marcus Garvey said look to the east. Rastafari is the prince of peace, and Haile Selassie I come conquer the beast, yo. They trap the youths with them luxuries to get the ladies. Gotta drive Mercedes, people killing babies, try to keep us down with AIDS. We descended from kings, now we surround with plague. Man, I kill them brother, man, to drive the Escalades. I can't stand Babylon and all the mess they made. Teach the youths that them best when them rests in the grave. Wolf trick the lion, got the lion a shade. Can't reach Mount Zion unless you learn to behave. Got to stand firm, cause these is perilous days. I tell them, we tell them this ain't a game, but this a Armageddon, you got to mentally train. Yeah, I tell them this ain't a game, but this is heaven on earth, or go burn in the flames. Yeah, I tell them this ain't a game, I say I gotta play your hate, cause some things gotta change. I tell them this ain't a game, but this a time for African people to rise.